And now we move on to topic 7. Topic 7, we want to talk about the curriculum models. Now that we know about the foundations of the curriculum, we can talk about the curriculum models. What is a model? A model is a three-dimensional representation of a person or a thing or a proposed structure, typically on a small scale than the original. It provides the concepts, the issues, the explanations, the proportions, and the framework that give curriculum development direction. Curriculum models are based on a body of theory about teaching and learning. They are targeted to the needs and characteristics of a particular group of learners. They outline approaches, methods, and procedures for implementation. The first model is the Ralph-Taylor's curriculum theory model. Ralph Taylor asks 4 basic questions that should be answered by the curriculum developers. The first one is, what educational purposes should the school seek to attain? By purposes, Taylor was referring to objectives. Curriculum planners should identify general objectives by gathering data from 3 sources. We gather data from the nature and structure of knowledge, from the needs of the society, and the needs of the learner. After identifying these general objectives, curriculum planners were to refine them by filtering them through 2 screens. The first one is the philosophy of the school, and secondly, the psychology of learning. What results is instructional objective. The second question was, what educational experiences can be provided that are likely to attain these purposes? Learning experiences had to take into account both the previous experiences and the perceptions that the learner brings into the situation. Thirdly, how can these educational experiences be effectively organized? Taylor talked about the organization and sequencing of these experiences. He suggested that the ordering of the experiences had to be systematic so as to produce a maximum cumulative effect. A curriculum developer should look at the activities that should be given to learners in terms of 1, 2, and 3, and organize them for the realization of the set objectives. Now, fourth, how can we determine whether these purposes are being attained or not? The last question emphasizes the role of curriculum evaluation as an important element in the curriculum development process. A curriculum developer has to consider the means, the method, and strategies that will be used to determine whether the desired purposes, objectives, are being achieved or not. Now, Taylor's curriculum development model is as indicated on the screen. It is simple, it is descriptive, and it can be used. It starts with the sources, which enables us to develop the general objectives, moves to the screens, which enables us to develop the specific objectives. Then we move on to the selection of the experiences, then the organizing of the experiences, and eventually the evaluation. Now, he put more emphasis on the objectives to guide the curriculum development. According to him, the sources of the curriculum objectives are the learner's needs, the issues within the society, and the subject specialists should be consulted to provide what the learner is going to learn. Now, Ralph Tyler's model provided the basis for other curriculum development models. However, it is considered to be simplistic as it ignored the complex process involved in curriculum development. It does not offer the relationship between various curriculum elements. It was found to deal shallowly with the issues of curriculum evaluation, which is an important aspect of curriculum development. Some questions for you to look at and address. The first one is outline the 4 fundamental curriculum questions that Ralph Tyler's curriculum theory emphasized. Question 2, with the aid of a diagram, discuss Ralph Tyler's curriculum development theory and model. Question 3, discuss the application of Ralph Tyler's model in secondary school curriculum development. The second model is Hilda Taba's curriculum theory model. Hilda Taba believed that those who teach curriculum should participate in developing it. She believes that teachers should develop curriculum and that curriculum should not be handed down from the higher authorities to the teachers. She emphasized that curriculum should be developed from the grassroots. She advocated that teachers take an inductive approach to curriculum development, starting with specifics, building to the general. This was opposed to what Ralph Tyler emphasized on. Now, Hilda Taba's major steps in developing a curriculum included 1, diagnosis of the needs, then formulation of the objectives, then selection of the content, organization of the content, selection of learning experiences, organizing of the learning experiences, evaluation and means of that particular evaluation. Now, when it comes to the diagnosis of needs, the teacher starts the process by identifying the needs of the students to whom the curriculum is to be offered. Formulation of objectives. The objective formulation should encompass the following. 1, concepts and ideas that are to be learned. Secondly, the attitude of the learners. Thirdly, the way of thinking should be reinforced. And lastly, the habits and skills that are to be mastered. The third stage is the selection of the content. Here, the objectives selected or created suggest the subject matter or content of the curriculum. And a teacher must organize it in some time or in some type of sequence by taking into consideration the maturity of the learners, the academic achievement, and the interest of the learners. Then 4th is the selection of the learning experiences. The content must be presented to the pupils, and the pupils must engage and interact with the content. Taba suggests that a number of questions should be asked at this stage. The first one, is the experience appropriate for the learning? Does the experience promote active learning? Is the experience appropriate to the student's maturity level? Taba also felt that learning experiences should reflect a variety of experiences, including reading, writing, observing, doing research, analyzing, discussing, tabulating, painting, constructing, and dramatizing. Now, 4th is organization of the learning experiences. And here Taba outlines a sequence of organizing the learning experiences. You begin from the introduction, then development, then generalization, and application or summary of the content. Introduction here involves developing the student's interest. You provide information from the known to the unknown. Generalization refers to students' attempt to put ideas together. And application or summary is the stage at which the student applies generalization to a larger framework. Then we have evaluation and means of evaluation. This is the last stage. It involves determining whether objectives have been met, diagnosis of the current curriculum plan, and assessment of any changes in the student behavior. That brings us to the end of topic 7. Thank you. We now move on to look at the patterns of curriculum design. Now, the patterns of curriculum are referred to as curriculum design, which refers to the arrangement of the elements of a curriculum into a substantive entity. The components or elements of the curriculum refer to those elements that are arranged in a curriculum design. And these include the aims, goals, and objectives, the subject matter, the learning experiences, the evaluation approaches. Now let us begin with the curriculum organization. The curriculum organization is the process that will determine how the delivery will be done to the student. It involves selecting curriculum elements from the subject, from the current social life and the student's experiences, then designing the selected elements appropriately so that they can form the curriculum structure and the types. We have 3 basic designs. The first one is the subject-centered designs. Then secondly, we have the learner-centered designs. And thirdly, we have the problem-centered designs. Now let us start with the subject-centered design. The subject-centered design corresponds to textbooks, treatment, and how teachers are trained as subject specialists. It is based on a belief that what makes humans unique and distinctive is their intellect. The searching for and the attainment of knowledge are the natural fulfillment to their intellect. The curriculum is organized according to how knowledge has been developed in the various subjects. And that means that we have history, we have geography, we have English, we have mathematics, and the many others. Then we have the broad field designs. Now this design permits the melding of the 2 or more related subjects into a single broad or fused field of study. It is what we refer to today as integrated studies. One reason for its continued popularity is that it dissolves subject boundaries. It also integrates different subjects as one. The next we have the correlation design. This one is a design that is employed by those who do not wish to go as far as creating a broad fields design, but who realize that there are times when separate subjects require some linkage in order to reduce fragmentation of curriculum content. Correlation is an attempt to eliminate the isolation and compartmentalization of subjects without radically overhauling the subject curriculum. For example, we can talk of a science teacher who may collaborate with a social studies teacher by having students write a paper that is related to both subjects. Then secondly, the second design is the learner-centered design. Here, students focus on the program. And Weimar in 2002 described the 5 learner-centered practices. And these include the function of the content based on the learner, the role of the instructor, learner-centered, the responsibility for learning is the learners, and the process and the purpose for assessment is to enable us see where the learner is at a particular time. The balance of power. Assignments are given to the learner, and the question that I would ask is, what is the role of the learner in a learner-centered design? Then we have the problem-centered designs. This one focuses on the problems of living. An issue is given to the learners, and it is expected that they should go through it and they should provide a solution to it. It is more practical, and it can be planned before the arrival of the students. The question we ask is, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of the problem-centered design? And that brings us to the end of topic 8. Thank you, and keep safe. And topic 9 focuses on curriculum evaluation. Now, the purpose of educational evaluation is to collect data that helps educators to make decisions about the value of educational programs and products or techniques. Once you have taught, you have utilized a particular design, as we have seen in our topic 8, then you move on now to evaluate that particular design that you have utilized for the purpose of teaching. We have 2 forms of evaluation according to Michael Scriven, the blog 1979. He classifies evaluation into formative and summative. Formative evaluation is normally utilized for the purpose of collecting data in educational programs while the program is still being developed. Formative evaluation data could be used to make a decision to stop or abort a program on the premise that it might have little chance of succeeding. Summative evaluation, on the other hand, is done at the end of the program. It is conducted to determine how worthwhile the final program is, especially in comparison with the other competing programs. Summative data is usually useful to educators who must make decisions concerning new programs, new products, or new procedures. Now, what is the purpose of evaluation? And we can say that evaluation is critical because it will enable us to know whether we have achieved our objectives or not. And that brings us to the end of topic 9. As we move on to topic 10, where we are going to look at curriculum innovation and implementation strategies, it is important to put to perspective the fact that curriculum evaluation will enable us to know the level of effectiveness, the level of innovativeness, creativity of both the learner and the curriculum implementer. Now we begin by looking at the meaning of the word innovation. Innovation is understood to be a social activity which aims at changing in 4 dimensions. The first dimension is social practices. Secondly, the beliefs. Thirdly, the understanding, which underpins the social practices, materials, instruments, and the layout of space, among others. The social and organizational structures in which the practices are embedded and which themselves are associated with the systems of resources, power, and sanctions and gratifications. An innovation can also be understood to be a new idea or method, introduction of new ideas or methods. An innovation is usually characterized through some materialized plan which describes the intended practices and aspired ways of changing them and argues theories which justify the rationale. It uses some materials and other resources, time, money, among others, and also other social structures like steering groups, peer observation, debriefing, among others. The real test lies in putting that innovation into practice. Thus, innovation is a practice to change the practices within a given society. That is according to Fulan in 1991. Now, curriculum innovation can be looked at as a medium of enhancing change. It can be a medium that is organized by curriculum agencies, and it includes the additional or removal of key aspects of the curriculum because of one reason or another. The Ominde Commission in 1964 made recommendations for the removal of the 7-4-2-3 system of education and introduction of national goals of education in Kenya. It also looked at all schools. It also advocated that all schools should have a common curriculum, and it established the formation of the NASESE and the DISESE, the early childhood system. One of the bottlenecks which prevented the school curriculum pursuing and achieving the national goals of education was the narrowness of the scope in the curriculum. The curriculum laid emphasis on rote learning. The curriculum also neglected practical and creative activities, especially in such fields as agriculture and basic manual skills. It advocated that the government should support Harambee schools and community support should be given in building schools. That is according to Ominde report. Then the Gashati Commission in 1976 gave the following recommendations. It advocated for a restructured school system covering 9 years primary education, 3 years lower education, and 2-year upper secondary education. A selection of examination at the end of the first block of secondary education on the basis of which student would proceed to upper secondary academic and technical education. It also emphasized on an interdisciplinary approach to curriculum content. It advocated for the broad fields co-curriculum planning, merging subjects, giving us GHCR, among others. It also gave the work of redefining the education policy and objectives to the school managers. So as we go through, there are several reports that have been looked at, and all these recommendations from the different reports came up with innovations that have been adopted and have led to the changes that we have had over time with regard to curriculum development. The Mackay report of 1982, for instance, recommended that the primary education system in Kenya to be extended from 7 years to 8 years, and the A-level component of secondary education be scrapped, reducing secondary education from 6 years to 4 years. Now, the above general recommendations led to the establishment of the 844 system of education. The establishment of the second university in Kenya was also recommended. That is the current Moi University. There was recommendation of the formation of the Commission for Higher Education. That was from that report. Then we also have the Kamunge report of 1988. Now, when it comes to the implementation, and implementation here we are referring to the process of putting the idea into practice. It has not been easy, but it includes scheduling that particular implementation process. It involves in-servicing and orientation of teachers and other education stakeholders with regard to the provision of the services. Any change that has to be done must be duly recognized and well done. Otherwise, the implementation process will determine the success or the failure of that innovation. All the members involved in the implementation process must be well inducted and consideration made and resources provided to ensure that that particular curriculum innovation is well implemented. Assignment: discuss the recommendations and changes that have taken place with regard to the implementation of the session paper number 1 of 2005. Question 2, discuss the changes that have taken place chronologically, citing all the educational reports starting from the Ominde report in 1964. And that brings us to the end of topic 10. Thank you for listening. With that, we come to the end of our unit, BEM 2101, Curriculum Development. God bless. Thank you.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.